Good morn for me. Good day to you. I'm eating breakfast. Some protein waffles with some frozen strawberries, microwaved with a bit of maple syrup as the dipping. I do struggle quite a bit with eating, especially solid and dry foods. These are a little dry because they're protein pancakes, or waffles, sorry. Just because I do take Vyvanse, and so my appetite is garbage. And so it takes me probably about an hour to eat this every day. But anyway, today I wanted to discuss with y'all my journey through the education system, because oh my goodness, was it interesting. So we start in kindergarten, preschool actually. I start going to Whistler Waldorf School, which if you do not know, Whistler Waldorf School and all Waldorf schools in general are a private school system that honestly I still don't even know like really how they function. Actually, you know what? Let me get educated here. Let me tell you. Hang on. So, the Waldorf school system, also known as the Steiner education, is a holistic, worldwide independent school movement founded by Rudolf Steiner in 1919. It focuses on developing the whole child, head, heart, and hands, by integrating academics with art, practical skills, and imaginative play. Waldorf education emphasizes a developmental approach aligning the curriculum with the child's stages of growth, fostering creativity, and limiting formal testing in favor of qualitative assessments, observations, and hands-on experimental learning. So, preschool kindergarten is basically you go, you make bread, you play with beeswax, you paint, you draw, you take a nap, you play outside, and that's it. Grade 1. Grade 1 is like, I have a traumatic memory. Here's one other thing too, is that with the Whistler Waldorf School specifically, there is such a small amount of kids at the school because it is quite expensive, I will not lie. And there are multiple public elementary schools and one public high school in Whistler. So not a lot of kids went to Waldorf. So for grade 1, I had a grade 1-2 split class. So I show up first day, I'm in grade 1, but my classroom is grade 1s and 2s. First day of grade 1. I'm sitting in the middle of the classroom. We're discussing like signs to leave the bathroom without having to ask, meaning like I need to go get water, or like I need to go to the bathroom. Day one, I'm sitting in the middle of this classroom, grade 1. What does this mean? Nobody answered me. Everybody just started laughing at me, and nobody told me. Anyways, grades 1 to 4, I'm learning to paint, knit, crochet, sew, draw, all that. 4th grade, woodwork and violin are introduced. Like, it's quite one-on-one. The teacher will obviously like be at the front of the classroom like teaching and whatnot, but also like textbooks are not a thing. Like, we're talking how I grew up in class is the teacher on the chalkboard draws, writes, whatever, I have this empty book that I have to copy everything down, and majority of the time, I'm not even being graded on, like, what's on the page. A lot of the time, I was being graded on how it looked. Like, if the border was nice, if my title looked nice, if my cursive was good. We also, like, 4th grade forward, cursive only. We have, like, those, like, fucking pens that, like, it was, yeah, wrote heavy, like, anyway, kind of all I can remember from probably grade 1 to grade 6, let's say. I'm in a class of, like, maybe 12 kids. There's, like, 5 girls in my class. I don't know why they all hate me. I am the only girl in this class in, like, grade 4 who is friendless because all the girls hate me and I don't know why. I still to this day don't know why. I used to have, like, those fun little erasers that used to come apart in pieces and then you put them together and it's like a fucking burger or whatever. I used to have those kind of erasers in my desk, and this kid used to always steal them out of my desk, and it just threw me over the edge constantly. I basically went through the entirety of elementary school without friends, in my class at least. I did have, like, a couple friends in, like, the grade below me and the grade above me and, like, in the public school, but in my class, in my grade, I had no friends because for some godforsaken reason that I still don't know to this day, nobody liked me. I don't know. Come grade 6, this girl starts going to our school, we become besties. It was from that day on that, like, me and the rest of the girls got along because of this one girl that started being friends with me and them. So then it never felt like a genuine friendship with the rest of the girls. Like, I had a genuine friendship with this girl, but because she was friends with them, it kind of just felt like they were putting up with me and that they never actually liked me that much. During this time, like, this entire time, I'm going to a dance studio with girls from the public school. So at this point, majority of my friends have come from dance. I don't know. We just spent, like, more time together and we got along a lot better, I guess maybe because common interests or something. At this point, most of my, like, social time came from dance. So we fast forward to end of grade 7. End of grade 7, I'm telling my mom I need to go to public school. I'm so done with this Waldorf thing. By the time I'm in 8th grade, I know how to do leather work, I know how to machine sew, hand sew, crochet, knit, woodwork, drawing, painting, playing the violin, playing the flute, playing the recorder. I played the cello a few times. Like, just very art. Very autism nurturing, if you will. We're getting there. So, end of 7th grade comes, I'm like, Mom, I'm really done with being, like, essentially monitored. Because the thing with going to Waldorf is that when we are doing, like, the academics, it's, like, kind of like group tutoring more than what a typical public school kid would describe as class. 8th grade, I'm done with this shit. I'm so done. I just want to, like, go and, like, learn math like a normal person. I don't want to sit here and have to, like, make a whole main lesson page look so, like, spend hours on this page making it look nice. I just want to go to class, write down some shit all messy, and be done with it. And do a test and be done. Like, that's where I'm at. I'm getting impatient at this point, which is essentially the theme for the remainder of my education. 8th grade rolls around. My mom does not switch me. I decide, nope, I'm not going. I'm not going. So I literally, like, protested against my mom, basically, and just didn't get ready for school, never went to school. I wouldn't go. She turned the Wi-Fi off, but, like, the Wi-Fi doesn't connect my fucking Rainbow Room bands, bitch. Yeah, at this point in my life, I was very, very arts and crafts heavy, so not having Wi-Fi, like, didn't actually bother me that much. The midway point of 8th grade rolls around, which is Christmas break. Christmas break rolls around, my mom is finally sick and tired of me protesting against her. She goes, fine, I'll switch you. So the public school works in semesters, so they have the first semester before Christmas break, and then they have the second semester after Christmas break. So she was like, okay, fine, I'll enroll you for the second semester of 8th grade in the public school. I get there. Yay! 8th grade, honestly, don't remember that much. So 9th grade rolls around. I'm in Math 9, English 9, Social Studies 9, and Art 9. No. No. I'm in English and Social Studies and 2 other courses. I don't remember. Oh. I'm in Foods 9, Social Studies 9, English 9, and something else. Math 9. Okay. Math, Social Studies, English, and Foods. Those are my 4 courses at the beginning of grade 9 for first semester of grade 9. So English and Social Studies were like full year courses. They were not only for the 1 semester. They were like a full year for some reason. Around just before Christmas break, my English and Social Studies teacher, one person, goes on medical leave out of nowhere. Doesn't say anything, just kind of leaves. But she was also my older brother's teacher when he was in high school, and she used to have seizures in class. So I assume that's why she left. We had a sub for, I think, genuinely the remainder of the year. It's inching closer to Christmas break, and I don't feel like I'm learning anything in this class. This sub is just kind of like, feels like she's like popping in after getting called in 10 minutes ago. And she's just like, okay, I guess we'll do this. There's no structure to the course anymore. We're in 2nd semester now, it's January. And my foods teacher is, first of all, my fucking Lord and Savior, and you'll see why soon enough. I think it was actually maybe before Christmas break, just before our foods course ended. My foods teacher approached me and she said, hey, if you want to help me once a week in the morning at like 8 a.m. or 7, I don't know, come in early, help me like make breakfast for the kids who like bus from Pemberton and don't get to eat breakfast before school. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And she said that in exchange she would give me a grade 10 foods credit. And so instead of doing the actual foods course, she would supplement it for this activity situation. So the entire time that I'm with her making food in the morning, like once a week, I'm just bitching and complaining to the ultimate maximum about how I don't feel like I'm learning anything, how my courses are stupid, how I just want to like move on in my life. And she was like, well, why don't you? I was like, what? She's like, why don't you? She's like, why don't we go to the school counselor and talk to them about switching you into grade 10 courses? Because I think at this point I had already mentioned that I knew that grade 9 didn't count for anything. For university in Canada, at least in BC, grade 10 to 12 are the only grades that universities look at in relation to your grades to let you in and whatnot. So I'm like, grade 9 is literally pointless anyway. Like, I don't feel like I'm learning anything, and it's not benefiting me in any way, shape, or form. So we go to the counselor, we sit down, chat for a bit. I honestly don't remember anything about the conversation, but then I end up getting into grade 10 math. I was already in an art 9-10 split, however, there were no grade 10s in the art class. So I was like, whatever, I'm just going to stay in the same course, but can I ask my art teacher if I can get a grade 10 credit for it instead? So we're doing the same thing. I'm in the same class, I'm just getting a grade 10 credit for it instead of grade 9 grade. Then I have Science 10, and then I have a free block. The free block is for online classes. So I'm in Science 10, Math 10, Art 10, and online History 10, and English 10, I think. Math was so good. At this point in my life, I loved math, and I don't know if it's just because I adored my math teacher, or if the math was just like ADHD friendly at this point in my life. Math was so easy at this point. I think I was one of the top students in the Math 10 class, and I had taught myself the entire first module of trigonometry. Art's easy, whatever. Obviously, we know that I literally grew up doing art, not academics, but science, easy. Also, I was in that class with some of my friends. At this point in my life, oh my god, I forgot. Although most of the reasoning for me wanting to switch into grade 10 was because I didn't feel like I was learning anything, and I genuinely didn't feel like I was being challenged to the degree that I wanted to be. Also, typically, it seems that Waldorf does teach a little bit more advanced than the public school, like a little bit faster. So I think I was a little bit ahead generally, but I also, oh my god, could not deal with the kids in my grade. They were driving me fucking crazy. It did not make sense to me how much they give a fuck about drama, and they give a fuck about just nothing, and like just the emotional maturity level between me and them was so different that I genuinely could not put up with any of them. I needed to be out of grade 9 for my sanity at this rate. I mentioned that I was in the exact same art class. I'm just getting a grade 10 credit instead now. I used to sit, so the classroom, big studio. There used to be like this wall that would separate the sewing room from like all of the desk space. I used to sit behind the wall at this tiny desk by myself, hiding from all the grade 9s. That is the level of discomfort I felt around them. In like my math and my science classes, however, I felt on top of the world. I genuinely felt that I fit in and I felt like I belonged there for, I think, the first time since being at the public school, which, God bless. I think it was this year, maybe my grade 8 year, I had switched dance studios to go to a competitive dance studio in Pemberton rather than the one in Whistler that was just for like, it was very recreational. We did fucking flash mobs. All the time in the village and just super performance based. I was bored. Studio opens in Pemberton. Hey, we're doing competitive. Sign me up. It was only in my class, me and 4 other people who were all at least a year younger than me. By the time we go to competition, when I'm in grade 9, whatever, April, May, I'm looking around and I'm looking at all of the other studios. I'm looking at all the other groups, I'm looking at how they behave, how they dance, and everything along the lines of that. I decide I need, more than anything on this planet Earth, to go to the North Shore Academy of Dancing. So bad. I need to go. So after competition in like June, give or take, at this point my parents' relationship was so horrific. My parents were split but living in the same house. And I knew that my mom wanted my dad out more than anything, and I wanted to move to North Vancouver more than anything. So what am I going to do? I'm going to ask my dad if he wants to move to North Vancouver with me. He says yes? Cool. Great. In August of 2019, me and my dad moved to North Vancouver so that I can go to the North Shore Academy of Dancing. Then I start going to Handsworth, which is a public school in North Vancouver. I specifically told my dad I want to go to Handsworth because I heard it was not only the best public school in North Vancouver, but the one that a lot of people from my dance studio went to. One thing about Handsworth that I didn't know before enrolling was that they don't do semesters. They do like a day 1, day 2 system. In North Vancouver, it is a very sports-heavy town or city, whatever. So a lot of the public schools, they function on a day 1, day 2 system so that all of your 8 courses are taken at the same time, basically. So you have your first 4 courses on day 1, your second 4 courses on day 2, and they alternate. They have it set up so that your blocks 4 and 8 are always at the end of the day. So you have your first 3 courses every morning before lunch, and these 3 like alternate throughout the days as well, but blocks 4 and 8 stay the same always, so that kids can enroll in what's called the half-day program. The half-day program is essentially you go to school for the first 3 blocks of the day, and then you leave at lunch and go do your sport instead of doing PE and things like that. So I was enrolled in the half-day program, so I'd go to school for 3 blocks, lunch would hit, and we'd get picked up from school, brought to dance, and we'd start dance around 1:30. I am in half grade 10 and half grade 11 courses. I'm taking 6 courses at a time, and I'm doing about 30 hours of dance per week. This was a lot for me. I could not do fully 6 courses at once. It was a lot. I started to suffer in school tremendously. I started to fall asleep in English. My teacher sent me to the principal's office one time because he thought I was high, and I genuinely cried in front of the principal because she was like, you smell like it. She's accusing me fully of having smoking weed. At this point in my life, I don't think I had ever. And if I had, maybe a few times, but definitely not at least in the last year. And so I'm breaking down crying, I'm exhausted. I'm not high. You cannot smell weed on me. It's not on me. I don't own weed. I don't smoke weed. Anyway, from that day forward, she realized that I was, in fact, just overwhelmed, simply. She called in my dad, and we all worked together to, basically just lighten up my school workload to make my life easier and so that I could still focus on dance as much as I wanted to while still achieving my academics. Fast forward to spring break. It is now March of 2020, and you all know what that means. It's the COVID-19 lockdown, baby. I moved back to Whistler with my mom because it's a much bigger house. It's in Whistler. It's chill, it's cool, whatever. Great. At this point, I also didn't have the best relationship with my dad, so it was just generally better for me to move back in with my mom for the duration of the lockdown. From March until August, our grades of the courses that we were actively enrolled in did not go down. That was a rule for kids who really struggled with online so that they wouldn't suffer. When I learned this, I was immediately done. I was like, nope, I'm not touching nothing about none of these courses that I'm in. I'll get a C- for all I fucking care. I'm not doing any of this no more. The only one that I did have to continue was math because I was actively failing. So at this point, I'm obviously bored. I'm looking for things to do. I look at the Handsworth online school thing, and they have this whole big deal that you have to go to your principal to enroll in an online course. You can only take 2 at a time. Really monitored. Really, there's no free will in just doing online courses. However, you know who does? And you know whose online courses I'm still enrolled in at this point? That's right. The Sea to Sky Online School, baby. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm still in history online on the Whistler Sea to Sky online system. And it occurs to me that they're self-enrolling and there's no maximums. So what do? I spend the next 6 months of my life completing high school, essentially. I spent the duration of COVID-19 lockdown speedrunning high school courses. I was doing probably a course a week. It was so good. I wasn't bored. I was motivated. It was a great time in my life. Grade 12 hits, which is technically my 11th grade year, but I don't have any more grade 11 courses. I'm in art and math 10. Nope, 12. I'm in art and math. Art and English 12 are my last two courses I need to take in high school. So I spend my last year dancing, still in half day, and doing two courses. Life is so good. I graduate. Oh, I guess I should mention at this point also my grade 12 year was mildly depressing in the way that I wasn't invited to grad sleepover. I barely got into, that like grad tag game where you like have to dress up all funky, and if you get shot with a water gun, then you're out. Gotcha?
Finally! I've been trying to catch you boys all day!
Barely made it into that. Wasn't invited to whatever private, like, prom grad celebrations were going on. I wasn't invited to any of those. I went to the extremely depressing COVID as fuck ceremony, which was like we all had to line up and like we had to go in cohorts. It was all filmed, live streamed and everything. Honestly, I was so thankful. I was not at all in the mood or anything to do a full-blown grad ceremony. I was not about that at all. When it came time to pick going to university, I was extremely uninterested because at this point in grade 11/12, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I was like, why would I spend money to go to university if I don't know what I'm going to do? My mother, my beloved, lovely mother, says to me, go to school for business. I don't care what you do after that. If you have a business degree, you can kind of do anything. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, you're kind of right. So I applied to SFU, UBC, and CAPU. Guess where the fuck I ended up? CAPU, bitch. So, first year, I'm in dorms. I'm taking 5 courses. It's chill. First year is literally just, this is what business is. Second year, I moved into a basement suite. When we were in Whistler, like during COVID and everything, my mom's coworker had a breakup and she ended up moving into our house suite. We both went off to university the same year. So we're both in our second years. She's going to school in Burnaby. I'm going to school in North Van. We both moved into this basement suite in North Van. Second year is kind of the same as first year, but just more advanced in the sense of this is business. So that for third and fourth year, you can pick what concentration you want to do. At this point in my life, I think it was the summer after first year, I got an email from one of my previous employers. I think he just sent like this big group email, and he was just like, hey guys, like, if any of you want to come back to like work for me this summer, I'm reopening after COVID and like da-da-da. This is a tiny little like amusement park in Whistler at the base of Blackcomb. I worked there for 3 years as a teenager. And I ended up getting fired for basically just my bitchy little attitude. I didn't want to wear my uniform. We had to wear like heavy cotton blend t-shirts to jump on a trampoline, like do physical labor, sweat my off. I was not about that. I wanted to wear a tank top and not like kill myself of heat stroke, you know what I mean? So I ended up getting fired because I was just like being, whatever that word is, disobedient. So I ended up getting an email from him, and I responded because I, at this point, was kind of desperate for another job because I was working as an on-call host. So I responded. I was like, hey, you want a supervisor? I'm on. And he was super iffy about it. He didn't really trust me at first, but it had been a couple years. And I think within a few days, I was the manager, essentially. I'd spent this summer managing in Whistler, and that's kind of when I fell in love with management. So for third year and fourth year, I decided to concentrate in human resource management, and I ended up working as the first assistant manager at Zoomies for like 8 months-ish. I ended up having to quit because the bitch-ass district manager, yeah, LJ, I'm fucking looking and screaming at you. I'm in finals. I'm finishing my fucking business degree. And what do I get? Oh, it's an annual review. And what do I have to do? Sell an ungodly amount of fucking shit to, like, not get fired. And I was just immediately like, I quit. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm finishing my fucking business degree, you uneducated bitch. Anyway, so I finished my business degree. And what have I done with it? I've sat in my room for 4 months. But that's not the point. I also totally forgot to mention the entire duration during high school and university, pretty much no friends. No friends. I had my one bestie from literally 7th grade. Actually, I had 2 friends from like 7th grade who I'm still friends with to this day. And then I had like my dance friends who also didn't really hang out with me. Like, they would hang out, but I was never invited. Typical. In school in Handsworth, absolutely nothing. I had met one of my best friends. I'm so serious, like one of the last days I ever attended Handsworth. I didn't have any friends apart from that. I did have like a boyfriend for 30 seconds, but I'm so sorry, didn't like him that much. I just was with him kind of because he was my only friend. Yeah. And then in university, first year I was kind of forced into a friend group because I was in dorms and my roommate had befriended all of the fucking exchange students. They, I'm so sorry, kind of drove me fucking crazy. Second and third years, I didn't really have that many friends. I just had a couple. And then in third and fourth year is kind of when I actually started to get friends at school because we have had so many courses together at this point, and we were doing so many like group projects that I had made a couple of friends finally, but it's not like I don't hang out with them like ever. My most recent like big wave of friends who I think are genuinely probably like the largest group of friends who are actually close to me, who I actually like, and that was my Zoomies coworkers, who I also don't hang out with that much, but like 5 of them are still very near and dear to my heart. I do see them often enough. I talk to them often enough. The entire duration of basically my life, I haven't had that many friends. Thankfully, it never bothered me that much. I think I got to a point in like early high school where I had understood that friends are transactional and temporary, and they will come and go. And like everybody like kind of knows this and says this, but like I genuinely was like, I am the only person who's gonna be here for a long time. None of these people are going to stick around for that long. Now I'm 21, I've had 2 friendships for about 7 or 8 years. I've had one for about 5 years. I do have one friend who like I don't see like ever or talk to, but she's been my friend literally since birth. And then all of my Zoomies coworkers are about a year. Friendships have always been hard, but I never got like too attached because I know people leave. And that's just the way it is. Yeah, hanging out with people like every day, having a friend group and things like that just don't like make sense to me. The only people who I find really genuinely stick around that much are the people who I, first of all, don't really mask in front of. I feel comfortable, they feel comfortable, life's good. And they also have some shit going on. These are not neurotypical people. Alright? We've got the bipolar, we've got the anxiety, we've got so many ADHD. I suspect a couple of them have autism, to be honest, but they're not there yet. Depression, the whole spectrum of mental disorders. We all stick together, and that's that. My journey through university essentially went like this. I would go to class, do the assignments. Did I ever read a textbook? No. Did I ever take notes in class? No. Did I ever listen that much in class? No. Straight up, no. So what I would do, for the assignments, obviously I'd read what I had to read, look at what I had to look at, do what I had to do. I never felt like I genuinely understood what I was doing, ever. Like, I was just kind of doing it because I was told to do it. Like, it never really, like, made any sense. So then, like, for finals and midterms, I'd go to the library, I'd sit down for somewhere between 5 and 12 hours a day, and just, I'd make a Word document, or an Excel sheet if it was math. I'd put everything I needed to know for this exam in this document. I'd make sure I'd write everything. I would not copy and paste it, so that I would be like reading it and typing it and like trying to get the gears to work, you know what I mean? It wasn't actually until almost the end of my final year in university that I realized that I had ADHD, and that's the reason I can't remember anything. Basically, instead of sitting there trying to memorize everything, I am writing down everything so I know where to find everything. When it came to exams where I wasn't allowed to have a cheat sheet or anything, or it wasn't an open book exam, I genuinely would sit there like just playing fucking duck duck goose with A, B, C, D, and maybe E. It got to the point where during, like, if I had to write something, I at the point would be like, I don't know, maybe this. Like, I was just fully winging it, like, full blown to the maximum degree. 4th year, I discover I have ADHD. I go, I do an assessment. It takes 2 months, give or take, to get done. But then I fill out my Appendix 8, which is the disability form for student loans in BC. With the Appendix 8, you get a shit ton of grants from loans, so essentially you don't have to pay back as much. You get a technology grant, so you get a bunch of, like a free laptop, for example. Technology to help with navigating your disability through the education system, essentially. However, it did not occur to me that I needed a new loan to get the grants. Because I had already taken out, I think, 3 student loans at this point to literally just pay for my cost of living during school. And I thought I was going to get grants on those loans. No. They don't. They're not. Oh my God, they're not that nice. So I get an email that I have to get a new loan. And I'm like, oh. I go to submit a new loan and there's an error. What's that? Oh, it's within 6 weeks of the end of the term. And you can't submit for a new loan. So finally, after emailing so many people, stressing out so bad, I finally get an email from the financial office at my school saying, hey, here's this form, fill it out, it's for getting a loan approved after the end date. And I'm like, thank you, Lord Jesus. Because I had called Student ABC and they told me that it was not a thing. To that bitch on the phone, I hope you get fired. So I fill out this form, I get an email back from Student Aid BC saying, hey, your end of term actually isn't over, so we'll just waive the 6-week thing. You didn't want to do that 2 weeks ago? Oh my God. So I get my loan approved. Yippee! I get $12,000. And at this point, I had already decided that I was going to be moving out of Vancouver to commence my career. Why? I don't know if you know this. The fashion industry does not exist in Vancouver. A lot of companies and brands and things like to make it seem like it does. It really painfully does not. The fashion industry in Vancouver basically includes unemployed and uneducated, egotistical assholes who just think they're better than everyone else because they have color theory and they're skinny. The most obvious and painful example of how horrific the fashion industry is in Vancouver is the fact that Vancouver Fashion Week was about to have Shein for their fall-winter 25 fucking show in April of 2025. That was the most baffling shit I've ever seen in my life. Like, I actually still can't believe it. Moral of the story, I'm moving to London. I'm moving to London, England, because my 2 options were Quebec and London. Quebec because it's in Canada, and London because it is one of the only European countries that is primarily English spoken. I'll go deal with the cultural differences and, like, you know, all of that, getting used to, like, the European shit. I can't do a language barrier. Absolutely not. I can't do that. I can do one or the other. I can do language or I can do culture. One or the other, not both. Absolutely not. And also my older sister does live in London and has lived there for almost a decade, so why not? I do also, my mom was born in Ireland, So I do have an Irish passport. So I do have the utmost free will in where I live and work. So, yeah, I spent the entirety of university learning the courses basically when I had to, and even then, not really. The thing with human resource management is that I am so passionate about it that it did stick a little bit, at least. The other thing with being autistic is that I actually remember significantly more because it is an interest of mine. So because it's an interest of mine, I got it all locked in, you know what I mean? Like, I was criticizing the motherfuck out of the managers at my last job, like, to their face, and to my coworkers. Like, I would bitch about it because it would drive me fucking crazy how none of these people understand the concept of leadership. And then I would, like, reflect back on, like, my old managers and be like, oh, they're really garbage too. And now I'm at a point where my goal is to be a good manager. Because the other thing too is that, like, when I was a manager at those previous jobs, I was the all-knowing manager. I was the good manager. I was the manager who did the management things, you know what I mean? Not being paid for it. Believe it or not. I'm gonna also document my journey with moving to London, which will probably be a multiple part series, to be honest, but I have already done 2 trips that I'll make a video about, and then I'll talk about how I planned it and how I'm doing all my stuff and whatnot. That'll come later. The education system is abso-fucking-lutely not built for people with neurodivergence at all. I still, to this day, am just, I laugh to myself often that I was able to finesse the shit out of the system. Because, and I'm very thankful, honestly, because a lot of people who are in my position typically suffer and go the opposite way of falling behind. And to those people, I want you to know that you are seen, you're not stupid, you're not lazy, you're just different, and the shit is not built for you at all. And it's okay. I don't know how you're going to get through it because, as I said, the system's not built for you, so I don't really know who's going to get you through that, but praying for you. Not Christian at all. I'm not religious in any form, but I still pray for you. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.